which makes things a bit complicated to be absolutely certain about all the actions. Some people feel that, look, listen, what you're seeing on social media is so obvious and so clear that there's no room for any doubt. But you see, our Nigerian authorities there told me that there are these categories of Nigerians. There are Nigerians who have lived there for a long time, 10, 15 years or more, settled there, sometimes married to Chinese, who have their papers. You have a category of those who have lived there for 10, 15 years, but are illegal. You have those who have been there for a very long time, but they don't have Nigerian passports. They've come there on the passports of other countries, nationalities. Then you have those who have just arrived, like the business people who have come to trade and are supposed to be going back. So some of them are living in hotels, especially the business people that have just arrived. Some of the others, had their own houses and so forth. Then you get, things that come in because the Chinese were saying that some of the people were running away from being tested. And some of the Nigerians are also telling us that, yes, because their papers, they're illegal, don't have the correct papers and so forth. So they obviously don't want to be subject to that. So we have all these conflicting narratives. But clearly there is a narrative that I think cannot be denied, that that there is a certain treatment of Africans and Nigerians, that are taking place that are reprehensible and unacceptable to us, whatever the circumstances. And as I said the last time I spoke, any situation that smacks of racism is an absolute red line for this government and for us as a people. Now, we have excellent relations with China, and one of the things that we have been looking out for is to ensure that there is no government state sanction of whatever might be happening. You cannot always control what individual Chinese may or may not do, which is why we engaged with the central government, knowing that they have full authority over the government of Guangdong province. And up to now, as I'm speaking to you, the Chinese government has insisted that they have a zero tolerance, that they have no interest for racism and discrimination, that they have no interest whatsoever in discriminating against Nigerians or any other Africans with whom they have good relations. And as I said to you, the ambassador said, please, let us have names of the individuals, whatever the complaints are, and we will assure you that we will act on that. But our bottom line is that whatever the issues, whatever the measures that need to be taken to contain the virus or to address any issues of illegality, that's fine. But what we will not accept, what is a red line for us, is the discrimination of Nigerians against Nigerians or Africans or blacks or any form of racism. Things like, not denying you access to public facilities and places on the basis of your color. For us, that is a red line, and we cannot accept that. And I think we made that clear. The Chinese government has denied that any such thing can take place, and we need to, to see that in action. Madam. No, that is what I've told him today, that, and that we have seen videos of that. So presumably they would also confirm that and let us know. Yeah.
I was just wondering, do you have a time frame for the confirmation from them?
Well, no, it's a parallel thing. It's a two-track approach. So a three-track approach. So while we are using the means available to me here, which is the Chinese ambassador here, our ambassador in Beijing is also interfacing with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs there, and also our consulate in Guangzhou is also interfacing with the local authorities there. So, tomorrow I will give them a call and hopefully find out why that is a methodology. And it's one of the things that we would want them, because as I said, the Chinese ambassador was saying, look, let's also try and document every instance of violation of rights. So I think, if there's anybody that's had their blood tested, give the date, time, and place. And so those are things that we will take up with the Chinese. Good. Thank you all very much indeed. Thank you. With the central government, as I said, the African ambassadors met, and also our ambassador met individually with the high authorities there, and brought to the attention of the government concerns and red lines that we have drawn, and that we don't expect our people to suffer these kinds of, clearly on the face of it, discrimination and maltreatment. So we obviously have, as a first step, to now start documenting each act, getting the names, dates and times and so forth, and we're going to present that to the Chinese authorities, and where the case warrants, demand also for compensation and for whatever sanctions need to be taken, that should be taken. So that's where we are today. And if any of you have any questions, I'll be quite happy to. In the world, and that this case was no exception, and that we would get to the bottom of it and do whatever we had to do to ensure that there will be no recurrence. Now, our engagement initially, when we got all the reports and we saw the various videos, was to engage with the central government of China. Guangzhou is a province. Guangdong is a province of China, and clearly the structure of China is such that the central government has complete power and influence over the provinces. Our ambassador in China, as well as all the other African ambassadors, got together. They met with the Chinese Foreign Ministry, and they expressed their concern and made a number of demands of the Chinese government, including an insistence on the respect of the rights and the dignity of Africans and Nigerians in Guangdong. The government of China committed to looking into the matter and ensuring that there will be no maltreatment of any Nigerians or Africans in Guangdong province, in Guangzhou, or anywhere else in China. Now, I had also invited the Chinese ambassador to register strong concern at what we were seeing in the media, the social media, and also got guarantees that these would be communicated to the government in China, and that everything would be done to ensure that such did not recur, that is not the practice of China, does not represent the values of China, and is not a reflection of the friendship between our countries. Now, we got these guarantees, and we also got information and narratives, explaining, what was at play, that of course there was this certain Africans that had tested positive, and so on and so forth, which of course does not in any way justify the kind of treatment that we saw on social media and so forth. Now, after this, of course, a number, and we had made a statement in the media, I continued to receive information from Nigerians in China, and I engaged directly with our officials in Guangzhou, Guangdong province, the people who are right on the ground. And I must say that contrary to what we had believed, that the situation was now fully under control, stabilized, and that there were no longer any issues, it became apparent that that there were still very distressing incidents, and that that it was almost as if it was an institutional attack on the rights and the dignity of Nigerians and Africans there. So, as I said, with confirmation from people who were there, I again invited today the Chinese ambassador and presented these facts to him and said, look, contrary to what was agreed, to the promises that had been made and guarantees given, that the situation does not seem to have ameliorated, and that this was totally unacceptable, that we have stories of Nigerians who had been evicted from their residence, who are unable to get back in hotels where they had gone to be isolated. They had been moved and put in more expensive hotels, and Nigerians not being served when they went to restaurants and to shopping malls and so forth, and that this was totally unacceptable, and that something needed to be done. That how could it possibly be that landlords and so forth are no longer taking back tenants, Nigerian tenants, in their accommodation, and that this is something that we just cannot accept, and and what should and must be done has to be done. Whatever has to be done has to be done. Now, as I said, the narratives are conflicting. Even sometimes amongst some of our Africans who are there, but clearly there is a main narrative and a persuasive narrative of unacceptable treatment of Nigerians and indeed other Africans in Guangzhou province. Yes, there's an effort to contain an outbreak of COVID-19. Yes, that some of those that came into the country then tested positive were Africans, but that was absolutely no reason whatsoever to completely trespass on the rights and the dignity of Nigerians and Africans in the city. Well, the ambassador presented their side of the story and said that 98% of the issues had been resolved, and that that not only that they were bending over backwards to ensure that nobody was being maltreated, and that everybody was accommodated. And I pointed out also that we've seen in videos and films of people having their blood taken. That as far as I understood, that the way for testing for this virus, was through the nose and the throat. Swabs up the nostril and in the throat. And we're seeing these pictures, and I was also informed by our people there, that people were being taken in and having their blood taken and so forth, and that it appeared in many cases that it was only the Africans and Nigerians who were being, who were experiencing this kind of treatment. So we registered again very forcefully our concerns and displeasure, and that it's not something we can accept. I spoke to some of our people there in Guangzhou, and what do we do? Where do we go from here? And a lot of them, of course, said that they just want to come home, and we're putting in place as quickly as possible the mechanisms to start bringing them home. That clearly is the immediate solution here, and call again on the Chinese government to insist and to safeguard the rights of our people. As I said, the ambassador whom I just met and discussed with, his position was that, look, listen, that he's getting a completely different feedback from Guangzhou, from his people, and that if there are any Nigerians, any incidents, we get the name, get whatever action they're complaining about, and present it to him, that he can assure us that immediate action will be taken, and that he's also confident that those incidents are not taking place. So I will inform our people in Guangzhou that they should record every single incident, and with the names of anybody that has suffered in any way, and we will take them up with the Chinese authorities. But as I said, in parallel to that, we are going to do everything possible to get our people back. Makes stress that our country is in at the moment. So what we are able to do is to try and source planes, because as you know, planes cannot come in and land in Nigeria, but we have to get a clearance for that and source planes to go there and start bringing them back. But it'll have to be, I'm afraid, at their expense. And this is the same in the framework of this COVID-19 action of the government. And all the other governments are doing the same. We just can't afford it. We would love to be able to evacuate all our people from all over the world, and there's so many of them. United States, the UK, India, Sudan, Dubai, you name it. We're getting lists and lists, about 2,000-3,000 or so Nigerians. They have to be accommodated. They have to be isolated for 14 days also, when they come here. And then we have, of course, our own internal, challenges ongoing now. So it will have to be on the basis of, who can pay to come back. But we'll make every effort possible to facilitate that for them.